buy a school bus. Not until you watch this video. Is that title too clickbaity? That was one of my New Year's resolutions, is to get better at clickbait. So expect lots more where that came from. Deceptive titles. But for real, buying a school bus, it's a big deal. You want to convert it to a tiny home? That's awesome. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But here's some things to consider before you buy a school bus. That's my non-clickbait title. The sun just came out. There we go. That's better. So, first thing to consider, do you have a place to park your bus? You need a place to park it. It's big and it's kind of attracts attention. So if you have a HOA in your neighborhood, you'll probably not be able to park a bus unless you get permission. Your parents' house, maybe out in the woods, you could do that. I know some places you can rent indoor space to work on it. Indoor would be great because then you're not leaking water while you're doing it. But yeah, a place to park. Number two, consider what size of bus do you want? Big one, small one, medium one? National parks don't have a lot of room for 40-foot rigs, so a 40-foot bus might be a little big for national parks if you're doing a national parks tour. So do your research on what size you need. How many children do you have? Do you have 0 children? Get a short bus. Or a huge one if you like to run back and forth, or if you want to put all your toys in the back. Consider the size of your bus. Number 3, have you ever built anything before? Consider that. Maybe build a birdhouse first and see if you like that. There's a lot of figuring and tinkering of things that has to happen when you do a bus, so make sure you're up for it. You have the right personality, the determination to push through hard things. So that's another thing to consider. Another one is, do you have tools or a friend with tools? That's an important thing to have before you start a school bus conversion. It's tools: chop saw, drill, skill saw, jigsaw, medium saw, table saw. There's a lot of saws that you can have. You don't want to be renting them, and buying all of them would be expensive. So do you have friends with tools or a dad with tools? That's my dad gave me a bunch of tools, or let me borrow, and then I forgot to give back tools for the build. So a place to park, the personality to do it, the tools to do it. Friends are also super helpful. Do you have friends who can help you? Do you know an electrician or someone who knows an electrician? There's some technical things, plumbing, electricity. Maybe, I mean, you don't even need electricity really. You could just get like a solar battery thing with plugs in it, and you can just plop it right in and plug all your stuff in. You can do whatever you want with school bus. That's kind of the fun part of it. And another thing to consider is the kind of bus that you want. Do you want a pusher, so engine in the back, a puller or a dog nose, engine in the front, and kind of the different types of engines? There's a lot to learn on just like the technical aspects of like the mechanics of a bus. And so what I recommend before you like pull the trigger on a bus, if you have one that you're interested in, is to call a friend who knows about cars, and usually they have a friend who knows about diesels, and so have them come out and look with you and test drive it with you, and then you can kind of get a feel for if it's a good quality vehicle or not. You want to check for tires to see if there's tread in them. They can be $500 a piece, and with 6 tires, that's $3,000. Check for rust behind the wheels. Sprays water up. Rust is fixable. There's always going to be a little bit of rust, but make sure it's not like crumbling the floor out. But you could always put a new piece of sheet metal down if you want. But just bring someone who knows something about cars. We called someone who knew someone who worked for the fire department here, and so they have a CDL, and so they took it for a drive, listened to the engine, looked at the engine, and said, "Ooh, it's a Cummins. That's good news for you, 5.8 something something." And I was like, "That's great. It's good. It's a good one." He said, "Yeah, it's probably worth more than the whole bus. So if you ever just want to park it, pull the engine, you can probably sell that for a good amount of money." Anyway, so get some help purchasing the vehicle. I think Navigation Nowhere has like a whole buyer's checklist for buying a bus, so I won't go over all of that, but There's a lot of things to consider. But I recommend doing it if you have the budget, the time, the energy, the place to put it. You'll spend lots of nights and days obsessing about your bus. It becomes a all-consuming obsession. I mean, if you're like me, you can just let it sit for 6-7 years and piddle away at it slowly. But I don't like to do that. I kind of go crazy if I don't finish a project. So I think that's all the tips. Last thing you need, I forgot to say this, or something to consider, is resources, where you're going to find all your information that you need for your school bus conversion. Skoolie.net is a great resource. I'm sure you already know if you're Googling school bus conversions. Our channel has the whole build that we did, and there's a ton of other great builds. Navigation Nowhere did one. I haven't been watching YouTube school bus conversions in 3 years, so there's probably a bunch more since I did mine, but look those up and just do your research before. Skoolie.net is the one. And also, where you're going to get all your stuff. I know a lot of people don't like Amazon. We just canceled our Amazon account. But Amazon has some things that you can't really, you can get other places, you just have to look. So we had an Amazon credit card when we did ours, so we got 5% cash back. But if you think Amazon's corrupt and destroying the world, then you can try to shop local and go to your local RV place, or Home Depot. Are they less corrupt than Amazon, or other places? But we use Amazon for the year that we, or the last few years, just to get some of the more special things that you can't find at the regular store. So I think that's all now. If you guys have some more tips below, you can leave a tip below in the comments. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hit like if you like it, and if you haven't subscribed already, you can subscribe, and you can see what random video I post next. Maybe bus related, maybe not. Who knows? That's kind of the fun of it. See you guys later.